Hi everyone and welcome to listen to this week's Arise devotion. This week I wanted to talk a little bit about the fire of God. What does the Bible teach us about this topic? Let's learn from the scriptures together. First, I want to read some verses from the book of Exodus chapter 19 verses 17 to 19. Then it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunderings and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain. And the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was completely in smoke because the Lord descended upon it in fire. Its smoke ascended like the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. And when the blast of the trumpet sounded long and became louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him by voice. Then the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. These verses tell us about the appearance of the Lord in Mount Sinai. His appearance came with glorious and powerful manifestations, with thunder, lightning, a thick cloud, a very loud trumpet sound, smoke, fire, and quaking. It says that the Lord descended upon the mountain in fire. This was a supernatural and extraordinary display meant to express the glorious presence of the Lord. It was meant to impress upon the people the majestic power of sovereign God, so that the commitment they had made would not be taken lightly. Our God is a consuming fire. An interesting thing about the fire of God is that it never ceases. Like Moses, who looked at the burning bush on Mount Horeb, he saw a fire that would not burn up. The powerful manifestation of God appeared, the burning bush. This was a sign to Moses that God was present. There, the angel of the Lord commanded Moses sternly to remove his sandals, for the place where he was standing was holy. From curiosity to reverential fear, Moses' life was never the same after this moment. Immediately after, the Lord tells him who he is. He said, "I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob." And it doesn't just end there. He shows Moses his heart and his compassion towards his people. And then Moses is invited to partner with God. Now it's mission time. Oftentimes we can have a very strong and impactful encounter in God's presence, a moment where we truly recognize that His tangible presence is all around us, and there we receive a new assignment. The fire we experience in those moments isn't to scare us away, but rather for us to draw closer to Him in awe and reverence. In our seeking, we learn more about the Father's heart and character. And just like Moses, God often gives a very specific instruction for the mission once we've spent time in His glorious presence. He wants us to be about His mission, and for that we need to be prepared. Now, the Bible also talks about fire referring to purification, and it is not a coincidence that you go through severe fire experience, a deep time of purification right before you step into something new the Lord is calling you to partake in. He desires to send you. This is part of the Christian journey, and it comes to set us apart for the mighty things the Lord is about to do before our very eyes. Yes, the fire might seem frightening, but it brings what is good. Let the fire prepare you for what is to come. Isaiah 43 verse 2 tells us this: "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. And when you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame scorch you." And just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the book of Daniel, who were thrown in the fiery furnace as they refused to bow down to false gods and idols, you might be in the fire, but you will not be burned, and the flame will not scorch you. Only the things that are meant to come with you will burn away. And even when you are in the fire, the angel of the Lord is there with you, just like he was with the men. There was another in the fire standing next to them. May we also display commendable faith when we walk through the fires. When they came out of the fiery furnace, everyone recognized that the fire had no power on their bodies. Their garments were unaffected, and the smell of fire was not on them. And just like what the three men experienced after the fire, it was all for the glory of God. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him. And they have frustrated the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they should not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Daniel chapter 3, verse 29. Let us not take lightly the commitments we have made to the Lord. Let us be aware of his majestic power. We serve a holy God. We serve the King of all kings. Are you being tested in the fire right now? Are you encountering challenges that you didn't see coming? In 1 Peter chapter 4 verses 12 to 16 it says this, Beloved, do not think it strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you, but rejoice to the extent that you partake of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory is revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. If you are reproached for the name of Christ, blessed are you, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you. On their part he is blasphemed, but on your part he is glorified. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, as a thief, an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters. Yet if anyone suffers as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God in this matter. The truth is, even in the natural, the fire is used for cleansing, the same way fire cleanses forests for more fertile growth. Some months ago, I went to a nature trail with my kids. There, they had a large sign that talked about the importance of controlled fires in the forest. Our kids were baffled. How could that possibly bring anything good? It only comes to destroy everything, they said. Yet, as we kept reading about controlled fires, a revelation came forth. Fire is necessary, not just for certain natural surroundings, but also for our spiritual lives. May we be people who are set apart for his purposes, seeking his will day and night. May our commitment to him be greater than any other commitment we've ever made. The control fires the Lord allows us to go through are a type of pruning, and it still protects what is healthy, good, and valuable. Because it is a controlled fire, it has boundaries unlike wildfires. What then is our part in this? To embrace the fire. The Lord comes to remove the dross and the moss, so that we may come forth as pure as gold. And we come forth smelling like Jesus and looking more like him. 1 Peter chapter 1 tells us this, In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen you love. Though now you do not see him, yet believing you rejoice with joy inexpressible and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, the salvation of your souls. True gold comes forth from the fire. The refiner's fire is one that comes to test and cleanse. If silver and gold are to be tested to see their true value, how much more does the genuineness of our faith need to be tested? We consider it strange and unnecessary when the tribulations come, yet God sees so much more beyond that. He sees the pure and spotless bride coming forth, bride whose love for the bridegroom is unyielding. From the first books of the Bible until the last one, from Exodus to the book of Revelation, it reveals us a lot about the fire of God. In Luke chapter 3, verse 16, John the Baptist told the people that he came to baptize with water, but one who was more powerful than him would come, and the straps of whose sandals he was not worthy to untie. John said that he would baptize us with the Holy Spirit and fire. The essence of God is fire. He appeared to Moses first through a burning bush. John the Baptist prophesied that Jesus would come and that he would baptize us with the Holy Spirit and fire. In the book of Revelation, Jesus walked amidst the 7 lamps, referring to the churches. Jesus brings the fire. In Revelation chapter 19, verses 11 to 21, John saw Jesus returning, seated on a white horse. In verse 12, it says this, His eyes were like a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. I recently heard a song that marked me. The song is called Storm All Around You by John Thurlow. It goes like this. I know there are creatures all around you. I know there are lightnings and thundering. I know there's a storm all around you. Holy, holy, holy. I see 7 lamps of fire burning, and I see a sea of glass mingled with fire burning. I see a son of man with eyes of fire burning, burning, burning. Thank you for listening to this week's Arise devotion. God bless you all.